What's going on, guys? Let's get this music video shared here. This should be on MTV right here.
No more 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay. Living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Good morning from Paradise Surf family. My name is Crypto Amaru. We have Crypto Hitman and Alice. As always, it is Monday, September 8th, and we are back with another daily live stream. The last few daily live streams have been, we've been trying our best to be bullish because obviously we are long-term crypto bulls. But man, it's sort of tough when the market is just floundering, languishing, down into the right, red. But today we wake up and there's some green in the markets. Things are feeling good. We got PLS running a little bit, Surf tokens running a little bit, Ethereum showing signs of strength, even Bitcoin, I think, outperforming a little bit beyond expectations, considering all this news I'm reading about whales continue to dump. Makes me feel great, makes me feel really good about what's coming. We have the Fed rate cut right around the corner. It's basically in less than 10 days here. So anyway, happy Monday. First of all, how was your first football Sunday of the season before we get into anything more serious?
Yeah, pretty good because I just watched primarily Red Zone. None of the commercials really made us miss any TDs. That was a concern. You know, we had the over-under 1.5 TDs on that will be missed due to commercials now on Red Zone because that's capitalism. I don't think anything was missed, but I was pretty tired. Went to a bachelor camping trip this weekend. We camped out Friday night and Saturday night. Got home at like 8 a.m. on Sunday. Pooped my brains out and then watched Red Zone at 12. You know, for some reason my body just doesn't let me shit in those holes in the woods. So that's where we're at.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. No, he's too civilized for pooping in the woods. That does make a lot of sense. I didn't do anything nearly as fun as you this week, and my wife is out of town at a work conference, so I'm here with my mom and the kids. Didn't get to watch enough football, sadly enough. Kind of just did, went to one of those jumping places. You guys know these jumping places? Yeah, they didn't have this stuff when we were growing up. We were like deprived. But now the kids have all the things, and you got to take them to these jumping places to get their energy out. Only problem is like $60 to take them for a couple hours, 30 per kid, and that doesn't even get you access to all the various things. Anyway, I digress.
Back in our day, you just had to jump off walls and trampolines. You know, that's what it was. You had to go to the friend's house who was rich and had a trampoline in their backyard.
Yeah, we had the lowly park to go to, but of course the park was like, there was it didn't have that soft, cushy, rubbery, substance there at the bottom, so you fall
sand or wood.
But yeah, times have changed. We had it tough, walking uphill both ways to school. But anyway, we're good now because we're in the financial markets. We've been in crypto for long enough that spending $60 on a kid's jumping thing doesn't really hurt. That's nice. So in any event, market's looking good. I don't know if we want to pull up some charts or if you wanted to cover any maybe specific catalysts for this. I don't know if there are any. It's just, hey, maybe we were oversold and bear is sort of losing steam and bull's back in control here.
Yeah, I'll pull up a couple charts here. We'll go over like normal. Bitcoin chart here. Bitcoin sitting just under 112,000. We know we topped out at 113 last week during a live show. This white line is where you want to break above. It's going to have a lot of resistance for Bitcoin. This will be interesting. You got the white line up here around 112, 113. You got the 200 moving average at 114. You have the 300 moving average at 115. And then, of course, you have this massive range of support that is going to be resistance now around 118,000. But I am bullish on Bitcoin. Potential inverse head and shoulders here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, bullish formation, breakout occur to $118,000. Now, the only thing that you have to be concerned about is the same thing we were talking about last week. When we were down here at 108, 110, I said that Elliott wave did show a potential relief rally to 117 to 118, and then you go down for yet another low. So although I believe that we do break out and continue higher, A $5,000 move to the upside for Bitcoin will be the next obstacle for the bulls in the market, but you'll just have to keep following along. Bitcoin is at the point in the cycle where it's not all that interesting. In dollar terms, it seems like really big moves, but in percentage terms, it's not all that massive. You're going to start to get in the phase of the market where Ethereum is going to make the big percentage moves. Solana, BNB, and the microcap gems that we talk about. So let's look at the Ethereum chart. Still sitting at this, imagine that, $4,350. The same important level we've been talking about now for multiple months. Continues to consolidate, continues to build momentum. I think this does break to the upside. News that BitMine invested in a company, 20 million bucks, and people are like, oh my God, they're buying other things than ETH, but they still have 265 million in cash to buy more Ethereum. Sharplink Gaming still has 70 million in cash to buy more Ethereum. ETHZilla is raising billions of dollars to buy more Ethereum. So the same STOB story that we've been preaching to you since the buy down here at like $1,400 or $1,500 ETH remains the same. Maybe it's not that sexy. Oh my gosh, Nick, give us some new information. But the information is the consolidation looks like it wants to break higher again, just like this consolidation, just like this consolidation, and just like the consolidation down here that we bought. So nothing too new in the markets. Keep the portfolio positioning the way it is. ETH heavy is the choice at this point in time. I think it will continue to outperform Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dominance is saying the same story as well. All the way down here at 58%. Looks like it wants to break down below the low of 57%. If you look at the chart markings, we were calling for this to happen up here when it was 65%. So if you rotated from Bitcoin to ETH, Bitcoin to BNB, Solana, or some of the microcaps that we've given you over the course of these past few months, you have been outperforming the king of Bitcoin, and you were doing pretty well with your portfolio rotation.
Listen to our calls, listen to the show, and sold Bitcoin and rotated into ETH before this massive ETH run-up. But I wanted to circle back to one thing you said. I mean, sometimes, look, there is no new information to give, right? And that's okay. The markets don't always have an incredible, sexy news story to touch on every single day. Sometimes the best piece of information is continue to have conviction, right? Continue to hold on here. Don't let the boredom or the apparent market weakness shake you out before the explosive moves that are coming later this year and probably into 2026. So, that's a valuable piece of information in and of itself. Just tune in. Hopefully that provides you guys some conviction, some reasons to hold. And, you'll make money just having held on, right? So there is always going to be a sexy news story to cover. I know today there's maybe some information around Michael Saylor that we can touch on. There's some news around NASDAQ we can touch on, but I just think today's, green candles, look, at some point the bears become exhausted and the bulls take charge again, and it could just be as simple as that. Less sellers today than buyers, and here we are looking green and feeling good. So
what do you mean? Yeah. It's not because of Richard Hart? Richard Hart's not pumping our bags?
Well, he may be pumping our Pulsechain bags.
So there was
PLS. So
you're starting to see these physical devices. We've been talking about the physical devices. We had a sneak peek of the physical device themselves, but we said, hey, we haven't seen the envelope yet. And the envelope is what was going under the radar, because what is on the envelope is what is going to dictate how successful this campaign is. And what do you know? I was right again. On the envelope, you have the label here, electronic LCD tablet enclosed, and then you also have a little bit of a rundown of what they are preaching here. On here it says, we sent you this valuable item so that you'll like us and learn about free and open source technology like Ethereum, giving Ethereum the shout out. Would love to see it, which was 31 cents in 2014 and is now nearly $5,000 in 2025. Newer projects improve on it with higher speeds, lower fees, scarcer supply through burns, or easier ways to launch coins. You're one of the first people in the world to receive this device, with many more shipping. It's smart to learn about new tech early before mass adoption. We gratefully accept PLSX, Hex, and Ethereum donations. And then, of course, there's a disclosure that all the crypto people and financial people do, saying this is not financial advice, blah, 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 blah. So at first in this video, I did say, I don't really love this last sentence. I wish instead of asking for donations, they would have showed the project. But some people are saying because this is a non-for-profit here, you cannot shill specific things, but this is a good way, a sly way to promote the Pulsechain blue chips, PLS, Hex, and Ethereum by saying, hey, we can't tell you to buy these assets, but we accept them as donations, so maybe you should look into them. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty good label overall. Could it have been a little better? I think so. Could the tablet have been a little better? I think so. But overall, I think it has turned out very well. And this was a Reddit post. So random people are starting to post on Reddit. Some liked it a lot. Some said they're looking into it. Some asked if it was a scam. Some are laughing at it. It doesn't matter because this is already starting to hit the doorsteps. Now, last week we said 7 to 21 days. Check your mailboxes. And it looks like a week later, people are starting to get them. People are starting to post them online, get talking about them. And it gets people like us at Crypto Paradise to start talking about it as well and amplify the IRL marketing for not only Pulsechain here, but Ethereum. And we know a lot of you guys hold Ethereum, so we want that to pump as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the first I'm seeing of this, and I don't like it. I love it. I absolutely love this. Oh my God, what a great shill. What a great shill. First of all, shouts out Ethereum. You know, I'm an Ethereum guy, so I'd love to see that. But, you know, let's just talk about moon math. Let's talk about what I think persuades people to look into stuff and, you know, should I open this thing and should I explore further? He's talking about the run from 31 cents Ethereum to $5,000. If that doesn't excite people, I don't know what will. So I love that he does that, a little bit of moon math in there. Shouts out ETH, subtly, you know, mentions Hex and PLS, PLSX, etc. I think you're probably right around that legal workaround. That might be the reason for that. But overall, this to me, this label and the verbiage on here just really amplifies and gets me much more bullish about the whole campaign. Like if it was, you know, because without this, without the sort of preamble and the explanation, it's like a little bit like, what the fuck? What just happened? Like, why did I get this? What is this? And so I think people weren't even considering what could be on the label in terms of a shill or in terms of a, you know, sort of promotional explanation. So I am loving this. I think this is super bullish. And maybe today, I mean, we joked about, you know, Richard Hart, is he pumping our bags? I mean, what? PLS is up 7%. I think you mentioned before we came on the stream. I think this probably has something to do with it.
Yeah, it looks like PLS up here, 8.32%. PLSX up 9.7%. Inc, the only four that wasn't mentioned by him, up 8%, and Hex up 15%. You know, made another post about, oh, wow, the Inc people aren't going to like it. They weren't mentioned. And, of course, they all had their response, whatever it is. But I think that is something noteworthy. Although there is LP bonding, so Inc is going to go up with the rest of these. Inc is kind of the rewards token for farmers on the network, on the decentralized exchange, Pulsex. And it was interesting that he opted not to accept this or say they accept this as donations. But this goes with my theory. Not much of a Hex guy. I know that's the OGs. That's a big portion of the community. I'm more focusing on these two assets. This is the gas token. This is the decentralized exchange token. And I've been saying since the ratio is much lower that PLSX would outperform Pulsechain. So far, it is doing that, and it's primarily due to the buy and burn functions. Imagine Uniswap and the Uni token actually having benevolent token economics, and that's what you have for Pulsex. So retail isn't in the overall markets. Retail certainly isn't on Pulsechain. But if and when that happens, all the trading volume, all the trades that happen, much like Surf and PTGC, is buying and burning a percentage of the PLSX supply continuously, and there is zero inflation on PLSX. All the tokens are already in circulating supply, so it's only getting burned. Now, there is still burning on PLS. You got pump tires burning PLS, but there is validators of the network of PLS, much like Ethereum, which means there is some inflation that has to be offset by those burns, which means those burns have a lesser impact, in my opinion. Although PLS is the token you need to own to participate on the network, everybody, all the degenerates, whether they hate Richard Hart, love Richard Hart, want blue chips or don't, they will be buying and burning PLSX simply by participating on the network. That's why I like that asset.
All the Pulsechain assets green today, and I think it's due in large part to this marketing campaign really, you know, turning some heads and raising some eyebrows, and people, I think, becoming more bullish on it. Obviously, the overall market uptrend helps as well, but this is great to see. And look, you say retail isn't on Pulsechain, and that's true. Is it? You know, it's not Solana. It's not Ethereum levels of retail participation, but there's people there. I mean, there's volume there. I mean, you look, I think, is that $700,000 in 24-hour volume on PLSX, which isn't even the main token. So that's not nothing. That's not
right.
So I think even if we're talking about the value proposition of PLSX, for example, even if, you know, adoption doesn't really dramatically increase, there's still enough daily burns happening on that asset to make it go up in value over time. So things are looking good. over the world of Pulsechain. Maybe we can throw up some charts on Surf. Maybe I know you did a call on a project called Rome in the DAO. Maybe that's worth pulling up. I don't know. I think that one's doing well.
Yeah, and the only last thing to reiterate is this green here isn't people that are receiving the devices getting on Pulsechain. It's way too early for that. What this is speculation. People seeing, hey, there's like 3 or 4 people on Reddit posting about this. Maybe this actually will work. This is OGs already on Pulsechain buying. So it's going to take a couple days if people see this and get interest and want to bridge in from other networks. And it's probably going to take a couple weeks if people are actually starting to receive the devices, go buy their first crypto, set up a MetaMask, and get money into the market. So just remember, this is just based off of speculation and Richard Hart posting a couple tweets. I don't think Richard Hart has dumped any money in yet, and I don't think anybody who's receiving these has dumped any money in yet. So we'll see if this continues the uptrend. Obviously, we want Ethereum to make it easy for us. If Ethereum goes to $5,000, over the next couple of weeks, when all these are hitting doorsteps, Richard Hart is manipulating the charts, then we're going to have massive outperformance on Pulsechain finally. Something like we saw, a month or two ago where Pulsechain was ripping 50%, and while Ethereum is only up about 20%. That's what we want to see, because otherwise, you just want to hold Ethereum. But the belief is you're trying to find the layer 1 or the layer 2 that will outperform this cycle, much like BNB and Solana outperformed last cycle. That's what we believe and what we've been saying about Pulsechain. Obviously, some of the alts on Pulsechain have done this miraculously for us. I mean, the Surf token we launched at 11K market cap ran to 3.6 million market cap and is up 18% today, back to 883,000 market cap, while burning like 2.37% of the supply and 850 holders. Only 850 holders. Obviously, we're working on trying to get a big marketing campaign, get an Excel spreadsheet, reaching out to a lot of Pulsechain people, see what we can do, because the DAO has about, I think, $6,000 or $7,000, which most of the time is voted to buy and add to LP Surf. And I think the no expectation wallet has like $12,000 or $13,000 worth of PLSS. So we do have a lot of capital for the next marketing campaign, and we expect to utilize that. We also see that PTGC is up double digits today. Emit Farms 108 up a couple pennies for us. Good to see. Fuck 9 to 5 back over a million market cap, up 9%. Good to see. And the recent call on the alpha call for the Surf DAO, so 200,000 Surf or more, to get these insights, was a Pump Tires token. Called it at a 15K market cap, reiterated a buy at a 38K market cap, and as we speak today, it is a $120,000 market cap. You can see the green arrows. These are the buys that we give it. Now, these are microcap projects, Pump Tires, early launches, so you can't dump your entire portfolio into it. But I say do 0.1% or do a couple $100 or $1,000 into these plays. You don't need to win them all. You just need to try to find some gems, find some green candles, and understand that if Pulsechain does well, then these new Pump Tire launches could do well moving forward as well. As long as the team is actually building something, there's some kind of revenue or token utility, and the memes are solid. Rome kind of checked those boxes for me, so I saw it pop up on Pump Tires. I grabbed a bag, and it's worked out pretty well for us so far. Still, 119K market cap. Is there going to be volatility? Possibly. But in the big, grander scheme of things, this is still tiny when you're looking at crypto as a whole, and still small even on Pulsechain. You see a lot of newer projects float around the 750K market cap to the 1.5 million market cap on Pulsechain if they're solid projects, much like Surf, RhinoFi, and others. And, that's still a 10x away here for Rome. So we'll see what happens with this one in the coming weeks.
Yeah, great call on Rome. Definitely get in the DAO, people. It's only 200,000 Surf to get in there. Discount now, obviously, with the price being down across Pulsechain and crypto and altcoins. But this was a fantastic call. Like you said, I mean, you put in a couple $100, but how great is it when you turn a couple $100? You didn't risk that much, right? You risked a couple $100. You turn in, and you wait a week, 2 weeks, and that's worth $2,000. I mean, that's a significant thing. Let's not discount that. This is a great call. Definitely get in the DAO if you can, guys. This is a great opportunity for you to do that. So wonderful on Rome. Hopefully those guys continue to do their thing. I do want to take 1 minute to touch base on another project. It is launching on Pulsechain very shortly. It's a project that we have been involved with. It's near and dear to our hearts for the past, 3-4 years. It's been a minute. And this project is called Yak DAO. It's going to be the first RWA project, real world asset project, on Pulsechain. So it is the first mover over there. A bit of a backstory. It previously had launched on Arbitrum and was in the process actually of migrating to Base Chain, and the liquidity was hacked. This happened like a year and a half ago. So very unfortunate situation there. Good news is they have committed to relaunching Yaks 2.0, this time on Pulsechain. And why do we want to do that? Well, obviously we're bullish on Pulsechain. We think it's undervalued, all those things. But, YakDAO was always envisioned to be a tax token. And in fact, it had a 5% buy and sell tax in Yaks 1.0. The problem is on Arbitrum, what you can do with the taxes is very limited. But on Pulsechain, this is one of Pulsechain's, I think, incredible innovations that people are sleeping on, is that you can, through the token smart contract itself, have these taxes used for all different sorts of things. For example, portion of the tax is going to buying back and burning the token. Portions of the tax is going to buying back and buying and then distributing another token. In the case of Yaks, I believe that token is going to be PLSX, which we were just talking about a second ago. A portion can be used to buy, for example, PLS and send it to a wallet designated for the DAO, designated for property development. So these are all things built into the Yaks 2.0 token economics. This stuff is going to be displayed up on the website hopefully shortly here soon. It's relaunching, I believe, on September 12th. So coming up quite soon here. We're looking to relaunch this thing, and it's a wonderful project. They have a real world glamping site already built out with domes and trout pond and all these wonderful amenities down there in North Carolina. People can go visit. It's already generated revenue. A portion of the revenue is going to go towards buying back the token. And so when you have this sort of flywheel of token taxes, you can buy back, burn, distribute the token in different ways. The property generating money using to buy the token as well. This is something I think can do very well on Pulsechain. I know there's some skeptics out there on Pulsechain, this, that, the other. But let's just wait and see, and let's give it a little bit of time. I think it can work out very, very well for YakDAO over on Pulsechain.
Yeah, and I think, for people, it's like, why should I get involved in the YakDAO? It's one of the first movers of real-world assets on Pulsechain. Also, real-world assets are starting to get in the news and crypto in general, and it's not really for real estate per se yet, but it's for tokenization of securities. And when RWA takes off, that narrative is going to be hot. People are going to be looking for gems. By launching YakDAO on Pulsechain, it is going with our mantra here at Crypto Paradise that we really do believe in Pulsechain, and we're trying to onboard people over there. So we're going to bring that community over to Pulsechain. If they want the token, they're going to have to interact with Pulsechain. But also, it's just a different portion of your portfolio. It's like you got a chance to buy Yak at launch at like a 5K, 10K, 11K market cap. You go stake those tokens, and now you get real yield based off real estate portfolio that they have on there in South Carolina, I believe, in Brevin. So, they also want to expand other properties. Obviously, that takes time, but I just see this as a good opportunity. Get the Yaks token, stake it, earn monthly yield from a real estate project from the glamping domes. Maybe it's $10, maybe it's $200, maybe it's $1,000 in the futures, but it's just kind of a non-correlated real yield. And Yaks token starting so low probably goes higher in price. Will there be volatility over the course of its life? Will the bear market hit the token? Probably. But what's going to be consistent is the real estate yield that really isn't affected by the crypto market, but more affected by the glamping dome market, which has been extremely hot ever since COVID.
Yeah, those are all great points. I'm bullish on YakDAO. I love the team. David is a great leader. He's out there literally building out this campsite with his family. I mean, they obviously have professional contractors there as well, but you can go onto their Twitter and join their Telegram, where you can see videos about him and his family going down there. So very unique project. Obviously, been through the.
These are the actual pictures here.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's a real photo. I mean, that's not even fucking AI. That's actually you can really go down.
What you get. This is the property. This is one of the, I think, the 4 domes that's on the property currently. There's a communal patio area. There's a communal sauna here, and there's a communal trout lake here that you can swim in or fish in. And I mean, this is what you get. So it's like you want to go touch grass, but none of us really like the roughing it of the campground. Well, here you go. You get a dome that has heating, cooling, a kitchen, a bed that overlooks nature. And if you want to get outside, you got a deck, so you're still not even, in the dirt, in the grime. And then if you're really feeling adventurous, you got hiking trails, you got a sauna, you got a lake you can jump in. And running water, shower house, everything right at your fingertips. So that's why it interests me. It's just like, hey, I can get a portion, a fractionalized portion of this ownership of this glamping dome and the expansion of the YakDAO brand. And maybe it takes a couple of years for them to get more properties or add more domes. But over time, you're just getting that bigger and bigger percentage ownership of all this real world asset here in the United States and hopefully globally in the future. So that's why I like it. It's a long-term play. Could you get rich overnight? well, if you buy the token when it's 10K and launches and it goes to 1 million or 10 million or 100 million market cap, sure. But I'm just using it as a real estate portion of my crypto portfolio, which is pretty nice to have the opportunity to do now after being here for a couple cycles.
Yeah, full disclosure, we own the tokens. We are supporting them. We're getting some marketing tokens as well to help talk about them and promote them across our channels and push them wherever we can. So we're fully embedded in this project. I want to make that disclosure so people are aware of that. But yeah, just bullish on Yakdao. Thank God they're relaunching here. I think at the beginning of what's going to be an explosive end of the year with hopefully alt season commencing here soon. So with that, why don't we go ahead and share some information here, or some notification, I should say. Shout out to Rema, DAO member, long-term Crypto Paradise supporter, good friend of ours going back years. He's finally joined the live stream on YouTube. What's going on, buddy? Yes, and in fact, a wonderful surf dildo. That is
It's green dildo season, and here's the thing: you were notified of the alpha of green dildos coming to the crypto market and to Pulsechain by none other than the random fans at the WNBA games that started throwing green dildos on the field, and then now NFL opening season they're throwing green dildos on the field. I mean, everybody, the world is telling you green dildos are coming to your portfolio. You need to believe and you need to buy.
Wait, there were green dildos being thrown on the field at NFL games? When did that happen?
Yeah, I just saw that pop up on Twitter. I wasn't sure which game it was, but it said like green dildo strikes again, and it was like a ref throwing it, chucking it off the field.
Oh my goodness, so great. So great. Happy to have football season back. Happy to have green dildo season back. Man, this is what we needed. Some, end of summer, beginning of fall market pumpage. It just feels great. So, yeah, wanted to give that Yakdao rundown. I hope the people from the Yakdao community, there's been a lot of questions. We're obviously in there. I'm doing, my best as an investor and supporter and someone helping with marketing to, answer those questions. But we'll actually probably clip this out and give folks an opportunity to listen back and hopefully answer some of those questions that way. But shout out to Yakdao. Shout out to everything on Pulsechain. What else we got to cover today here, Nick?
I'll share this, even though we didn't get involved, because you just can't get involved in these things unless you're an insider. I guess you could have chased the green candles today, but BMNR is up 1.83%, SBET up 0.75%, OCTO is up 2,000%. Actually, Bitminer put $20 million, announced a $20 million investment in this company overnight. So the insiders pumped it from pre-market from $1.40 to it was $19 when the market opened. And now it is up to $30. I was watching this. I put a post in for the Patreon members and for the subscriber members. But I said, hey, it's already ran from $1.40 to $19 pre-market. You really can't chase these things at open. But normally you see an obscene pump. Then you see a dip, and that is the buy the dip opportunity as more news comes out. So keep an eye on this one. Just like we watched SBT absolutely pump, we waited for the dip all the way to $9 and got long. Just like we watched Bitminer go to $100 and dip all the way to $40 and get long. I bet you there might be an opportunity on this as well. This one doesn't interest me as much, but it's getting hype because Bitmine isn't just investing in Ethereum, but is buying equity in some of these small companies. This company, this is interesting, wants a majority of their treasury to go towards buying WorldCoin, WLD. I don't know if you remember that one, but that's the one who was like scanning people's irises to get their data and save their data on chain. This company wanted a strategic reserve of WLD token and ERC20 token, and I guess Bitmine sees value in that, plus sees value in, hey, let's grab ERC20 token exposure before the Ethereum alt season, as those tokens will pump just like we've been telling you they would. So shout out to anybody who bought this at $20 at the market open. It's up to 36. If this thing hits $37, $40, take your quick double up. You got to double up in stocks in like an hour, sell it, and watch a dip happen. Now, if it goes to the moon, don't cry to me later. But I'm just telling you what these things normally do. Maybe it has a follow through for a couple days because the market is hot, but inevitably this gap is going to be filled, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing back down to $6 to $10 in the coming weeks.
So this is very interesting. We now have Ethereum strategic reserve companies essentially buying other companies who are then turning around and investing in sort of different random low cap. I know WorldCoin is not low cap by any stretch. But this to me feels like if we keep seeing this, if we keep seeing, whether it's through an acquisition or just announcing on their own, different random companies that were, penny stocks or whatever, or, low caps on the NASDAQ, than turning around and buying low cap altcoins. That to me might be a top signal right there if we keep seeing this happening. So, I'm not hating it. I'm loving it. But you start to see this happening, and more. Eventually, you start to get into bubble territory. So we'll keep an eye on these kind of stories here. But I think, look, bullish news, no doubt about it. I love to see it. Who knows? Maybe a company starts to buy surf one day.
Yeah, for me, I don't see it as the top signal this cycle, but I do believe, our narrative, our thesis is longer bull market, less volatile bear market, just because we're getting ingrained in institutions. But if you see more and more of this, we could very well see that 70% drawdown bear market like we have in the past, just because things will unwind. MicroStrategy as itself isn't leveraged, so I don't think that causes an unwinding. SBET as itself isn't leveraged, so that doesn't cause an unwinding. Bitmine wasn't leveraged, so it wouldn't cause an unwinding, but now Bitmine is putting money in other assets that are investing in other assets, so that could cause downside risk in a bear market because a lot of things will unwind and lead to these bigger companies unwinding. But what I will say as well is this is an insider's game. Bitmine put $20 million in at $1.40. Now that $20 million is worth what at $40? They can, I don't know what their terms are, their vesting or whatever, but realize that means that Bitmine can pull out their initial investment plus profits, keep half their position, and go do what? Now they can go buy $40 million with the ETH plus still have exposure to the stock on their books. I mean, this is a good way for the insiders to figure out ways to buy more ETH.
Look, Tom Lee's playing 3D chess, and now it's like, hey, Joseph Lubin, your move, bro. Because this is the next level shit what they just did, especially if you turn around, sell some of the stock, use it to buy ETH. It's like, whoa, okay. He just stepped his game up. But
how is this legal though? I guess is the question. Man, tell me some of this insight. Let me get these at $1.40.
This is some shit you see in crypto, not the traditional stock market. But hey, look, Trump's in charge and the rules have changed. So good time to be in the financial markets. But in any event, I look, I'm very bullish on this story. I don't think by any means this means we're, oh my God, it's top signal, bear market's coming tomorrow. But you start to get enough of these, and we'll keep an eye on the story. We'll keep an eye on the story. It doesn't matter really though, I think, when this next bear market hits, because we're early on Bitcoin. I'm gonna share my screen right here. We got a great, let's call it news story or piece of information to share. I just love this piece of sort of information here. Bitcoin adoption is only at 3%. That's the same as social media in 2005 or the internet in 1990. 2025 and we are still early. Absolutely love that. I couldn't agree more, by the way. If you look at everything that's coming from a regulatory standpoint, we still haven't gotten the full comprehensive crypto and Bitcoin legislation. We got the Genius Act. We have the new head of the SEC basically coming out saying he's very pro-crypto, pro-innovation, but there hasn't really been too much in the way of full-on legislation. That's coming. We haven't seen certain countries, yes, but we haven't seen sort of the, let's just call it the bigger countries in the world, the US, EU countries, China. They haven't yet sort of acquired buying into Bitcoin yet. And then we have El Salvador and some outliers, but we haven't seen the countries start buying in yet. Wall Street's just starting. Average everyday people still a little bit skeptical. So look, we're early with crypto. We're going to have bear markets. We're going to have bull markets. We're going to have a bunch of ups and downs. But man, we're still early. So if anyone's worried, oh gosh, when's the bear market going to hit? Am I going to lose money? I think if you got to take this long view here, you're feeling really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's wild to see. Sorry if I was typing. I thought I was muted. But, wild to see. 3% adoption. And the thing is, for a while, people thought it was higher adoption because they didn't really understand that people could have multiple wallets. And still, even with this data, I'm interested to know how many is duplicate wallets. Because you ask yourself, how many wallets do you own? Me, personally, I own, 50. Between MetaMask and Phantom and Coinbase Wallet and Binance Wallet and Binance US. So this might even be lower than we even know or even think due to duplicate wallets. But I mean, this is amazing to see. Internet in 1990. I was born in 1991. Obviously, we know it has absolutely exploded. Social media in 2005. Go look at the price valuations of Facebook. Meta. Go look at the price valuations that X is seeing, the Snapchat, all these social media platforms that are driving your lives, driving your spending habits, Just like buying, the random knick-knack off TikTok or Amazon due to internet and social media, the same thing will apply to meme coins, to cryptos. We just need these things to have green candles, the FOMO ensue, and my gosh, could you be early? The amount of capital, I think this is a big thing we always talk about. You guys don't realize how much money is out there. And the fact that we are sitting at $112,000 Bitcoin and only 3% of the world even owns anything is wild to even try to comprehend.
I mean, it's like 200 trillion in the stock market and in the various markets in the U.S. I think 500 trillion around the world. So a tremendous amount of money is out there. That doesn't even include real estate. So you're absolutely right. We're very early. And also, look, I mean, this is a new technology. It's intimidating to some, especially if you're not like a millennial or Gen Z. If you're, our parents' age, for example, you're skeptical of this stuff. You're not looking to figure it all out and how to do a set of a MetaMask and Coinbase, etc. And that's okay. They don't need to do it. The boomers got rich off real estate. They don't need to worry about crypto. But there's going to come a time when they pass on. Their money is going to then be inherited by the millennials or by the Gen Zs, or even like my kids' age, Gen Alpha. And you better believe they're going to be much more drawn to Bitcoin, Ethereum, meme coins, meme stocks, rather than real estate, which is way too expensive as it is, rather than gold, I think, which I know is all-time highs again, but the upside's more limited as the biggest asset in the world. So between all the sort of legislation that's coming forward and the acceptance of the governments, the acceptance of Wall Street, then you're going to have older generations passing on and tons of money flowing down into people of our age. Yeah, we're early. So, look, I know folks. When's the bear market gonna hit? Guys, we're early. Bitcoin will hit $1 million. My prediction within the next 10 years, maybe even sooner.
That'd be wild to see. That would be wild to see. And you mentioned real estate kind of being a boomer investment. It is. It's a hard barrier of entry. You need a lot of capital. A lot of private equity firms get involved. And, we were talking about Yakdao earlier. That fractionalized ownership could be the way that the non-boomers get involved with real estate, is fractionalized on-chain ownership via blockchain technology and Web3. And Yakdao could be one of the first movers of that over on Pulsechain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to investing in real estate by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's great to have, hard assets, whether that's Bitcoin, whether that's gold, whether that's real estate. And the one great thing about real estate compared to Bitcoin and gold is you can actually use it. Like I'm sitting in my house right now, I'm using it. What a great thing. Go down to the condo in Tulum, use that. I'm all for real estate, but it is expensive. It does take a while to build up enough capital or earn enough in your job to be able to afford it. And that's why it's important to have these alternative assets like crypto, like Bitcoin, like blockchain. And so, we're early, we're good, and we got Hex back on the stream. Let's just pull up this. Welcome back from vacation, my friend. I hope you had a good one. Did you know
chose a good time to go on vacation?
Free vacations? You should look into the free vacations that we're offering here at Crypto Paradise. But actually, this is a great segue because you just asked about the rate cut. And you pulled up.
Yeah, so for Hex, 3 weeks, good time for vacation. You missed the boring 3 weeks, grab 200,000 Surf or more, and you can get another vacation, free vacation on a Paradise Pad for Surf DAO members, 200,000 Surf or more. And we see Trueflation here, 1.98% inflation, as the puppy just came down here and is aggravating my other dog. So this is my headway to let Crypto Amaru talk.
Yeah, look, we talk about Trueflation a lot. Trueflation is it's a data aggregator. Blockchain-based data aggregator that pulls in thousands of data points around, price movements on, real estate, household goods, energy price, everything that feeds into inflation. They get this information, this data in real time, upload it to the blockchain, immutable and irrefutable data that Trueflation comes out with much faster, much more accurately than the Fed gets, which is obviously on usually a 2-month delay. So great to see inflation numbers coming down here. We already knew there was going to be a rate cut. We're at I don't know what the markets are saying. If is it 95%, 98, 99% chance of a rate cut, but it's got to be in that range. We're absolutely getting a rate cut on September 17th. Now, is it a 50 basis point? Is it 25 basis point? Right. That's really the main question. Now, and then the other question is, okay, is it priced in? I don't know if it's priced in, at least in the long term. Now, we may see a kind of buy the rumor, sell the news. We may see, look, a market run up leading up to September 17th. Rate cut gets announced, and we have a sell-off. That could well happen. I mean, I would actually bet that's going to happen. Let's just be honest. That's normally what happens. We looked into this last week. It turns out that the true impact of that lower interest rate isn't felt in the financial markets, truly felt in terms of meaningful long-term uptrend, until about 30 days after that rate cut comes into effect. So I would expect a bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news. Okay, September 18th, we may correct a little bit after we've run up to, whatever, $120,000 Bitcoin. But, come October, certainly come November, there's going to be more rate cuts probably coming down the pipeline too. We are going to see the market start running up, and Bitcoin, I think, is going to hit, Nick saw about 244,000 by the end of the year. I don't know if it gets there. I think maybe 180, 150, 180, but we may hit that 244 by the end of the cycle if this cycle gets elongated and ends up in Q1 2026. So anyway, long story short, I don't know if it's priced in, maybe in the near term, but in long term, absolutely not.
Yeah, it looks like a 97% chance of a cut, 11% say a 50 basis points. So if we got a 50, that would not be priced in. No change, 3%, and less than 1%. They actually increase interest rates. Would hate to see that. I doubt that is going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure markets are getting frothy. They're pricing it in a bit, but everything that Crypto Amaru said, I agree with. And you can see we had some dips there. And once data comes out, it flipped back to everybody wanting to get long for this interest rate cut. Only another 10 or 11 days to kind of, or 17th, so like 9 days to kind of see how this all plays out. And then again, we get another opportunity October 29th, just before Halloween. I think this could play out just like we saw before the presidential election. Just no cuts, no cuts, no cuts, and then a series of cuts for the remainder of the year. And what happened? Bitcoin went to new all-time highs. The markets went to new all-time highs, partially due to the cuts, partially due to the expectation that Trump was going to win, and he's very pro-market and pro-Bitcoin. So we'll see if history can repeat itself for the remainder of this historically bullish year after the Bitcoin halving cycle. We're all expecting massive upside for the next couple months, but really we want to see the extension go on because we have not seen the trickle-down effect to alts. We have not seen retail FOMO. We have not seen quantitative easing. Let's break the 4-year halving cycle and make everybody rich that tunes into Crypto Paradise. That's the goal. That's the name of the game, and that's the prediction.
Yeah, I think it's going to be broken. I don't see the Bitcoin topping out in October, which would be historically, if you look at bottom to the top, it's like X amount of days. Okay, so we hit October if it's exactly copying the previous cycles, but nothing's an exact copy. Why would we think that it's going to happen the same exact way again when this entire cycle's been different? So we're on record saying this bull run is going longer. I don't know how much longer it goes, but I do not think Bitcoin tops out in October. That just belies all logic, especially these rate cuts coming, especially with Trump being so bullish on crypto, the legislation's coming out, countries buying in, Wall Street continuing to buy, Michael Saylor's not slowing down. I just don't see, the miners don't have that much of an effect anymore. Even if the miners are like, all right, start the bear market now, guys, sell everything. They collude together. They're only getting 450 Bitcoins a day. The market's buying 1,800 Bitcoins a day.
Yeah, the other thing too is the biggest
demand and supply right now. So I just don't see the miners being able to cause some big crash. Maybe look. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a sell. Okay, big sell off. Oh, bear market hit. Fuck, it's going to zero, and then boom. The bulls just pump it right back up, and we hit $200,000 by Q1 2026.
The other thing is a lot of the big Bitcoin miners this cycle are publicly traded companies and are employing the Bitcoin strategic reserve narrative. So that means they're selling less because they're trying to, get onto that narrative, get public share prices higher in order to utilize public share price to buy more Bitcoin, to buy more miners, and to have a bigger impact moving forward. So again, miners have to sell to cover overhead, but they are doing something a little different this cycle that didn't exist before, and that is publicly traded company utilizing Bitcoin holdings to pump stock prices. So if they have to start selling Bitcoin, that's going to negatively impact their public stock prices as well, of which they all own a lot of shares of. So that'll kind of be shooting yourself in the foot. It's going to be a chicken and the egg thing. Who's going to be the first one to crack, the first one to sell, the first one to try to make the top? But I do believe this cycle, we just have so much more holding power The diamond hands used to be the degens, used to be the retail, but right now this cycle the diamond hands are actually institutional players. Everything is flipping on its head. Nothing is making sense, and that's why I think this is the first time the 4-year halving cycle breaks to the long side, and we can say we're right. And then of course all the pundits will get on the shows and say, "Oh, we told you this was going to happen like 2 weeks ago. We said this was a possibility." Well, Crypto Paradise has been telling it to you for 2 years, and this is your opportunity to see if you're going to listen or see if you're going to sell way too soon.
Well, I'll be holding on. You know, the one thing that's been suppressing the price, it hasn't been the institutions. They've obviously been buying up. It's been these early whales that bought like $50,000 worth of Bitcoin was $10. They're selling billions and billions. I tried to look for the story. It just popped up on my feed before we came on the live stream. But apparently, if it wasn't for these 2 whales, just 2 whales, right, we would be at probably $140,000, $150,000 Bitcoin. There's 2 guys all floating billions and billions and billions of Bitcoin they bought early, you know, and it sucks. I mean, I'm not happy about it. I wish they had sold back when it was $20, you know. But they held on for 10,000x, and here they are sitting on billions, and they're selling now. They will be out of tokens soon. They will be out of Bitcoin soon. And once they're out, it's like your favorite meme, right? Your favorite meme. We just need these 2 whales to sell. Everyone's watching the deck screener. Look, these guys, they got 50 grand worth of coin. They're selling it every day. We need them out. Once they're out, it runs. And that's usually what happens. So, it's basically like a meme on steroids times 1,000. And we have 2 whales suppressing the price. Once they're done, my guess is we do start running up again here, corresponding nicely with the market, the Fed rate cut.
Is there any other news articles? Nate couldn't be here, but he showed some things with you. I don't know if there's anything else we want to talk about. We've gone over Bitcoin price, Ethereum price, Bitcoin dominance, Pulsechain marketing, some of the altcoins that we've got you in that are green today, touched rate based on the interest rate cuts that we think is coming here. That's another thing is, we predicted the Ethereum ETF coming. We predicted the Ethereum strategic reserve narrative driving the market, which has happened. You were very early to saying, hey, I think interest rates are coming, but they're probably not coming till the end of 2025, more towards September. You did hint at possibly July, but you've been saying September for a very long time, and this prediction could play out. I know I'm the Nickstradamus for the predictions, but Crypto Amaru, you're more in the weeds with the Fed and the financial markets as far as interest rate cuts, and this could be a big prediction for you. So I just want to toss that out there and remind some people and remind you as well. Very early to these things. You start seeing, Ethereum strategic reserve 2 months after I told you to start positioning yourself into ETH and that it was going to be a big narrative driver. So you can keep watching mainstream media, but you're going to be late to the game. You're going to miss out on the $1,400 buy ETH and you're going to have to be buying it at $3,000 and $3,500. And the same is going to apply for these altcoins. It hasn't been pretty. It hasn't been easy. We're not finding you daily 10Xs, but we're still finding you weekly 10Xs and monthly 10Xs. And hopefully our portfolio, our positioning, and our kind of connections can get us big gains when the alt season comes back. And you guys really need to capitalize on that window when it comes.
Yeah, I mean, the Fed rate cut was sort of an inevitability in my mind because we knew interest rates were higher than the Fed wanted it to be. We knew inflation was coming down, even though it was like, quote, stubbornly high. I know the Fed was worried about tariffs, causing some burst of inflation. Didn't really materialize. And then we knew that the rate cuts the high rates, were going to cause pressure on jobs. And that's exactly what happened. So I didn't know for certain, I kind of was thinking, June, July, right, rate cut. That's when they should have been cutting. But Powell, too late, always too late, looking at backwards looking data. September was the next best bet there. And so here we are staring down the face of a rate cut that, absolutely was sort of inevitable in my mind. But if you're not thinking about these things, if you're not watching Crypto Paradise, you're reacting. You're not proactive, right? And so you want to be proactive. You want to be tuned in. Hopefully you guys enjoy the show, get a little bit of knowledge out of it, also some entertainment. Let me try to pull up this.
While you're pulling that up, breaking news, South Africa's Altinvest to raise $210 million to buy Bitcoin. So now it is getting more global. It's been U.S.-based, U.S.-based companies doing these strategic reserves. We've seen some out of China, some out of Japan, and now we have South Africa on the books, going to be bringing over $200 million to Bitcoin markets. Now that's the thing. Look at how long the Bitcoin strategic reserve narrative has been playing out. Look how much money is inflowing, and there's still new companies coming to the game. So what is lagging and what is also going to happen? The Ethereum strategic reserve narrative just started midway through June. I think you have a long time of ETH buying, a lot more companies coming to ETH, and that's why we're calling for elongated cycle, folks. Everything is lining up.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I was trying to share my screen, but I got to fix permissions, so forget that. We have a dashboard about to drop on the Crypto Paradise website. It's going to show you all the dynamic data, real-time data around the Surf token. Of course, the volumes, but the ongoing burns that happen with every transaction, the ongoing liquidity that gets added with every transaction, the ongoing rewards that you as a holder of Surf token earn with every single transaction. So that dashboard looks like it's good to go. I can't share my screen, unfortunately, because of some weird setting, but that is going to be posted up on the Crypto Paradise website imminently. So good time for the Surf pump. Good time for a Surf marketing campaign to commence. The market's looking good. Dashboard's ready to go. I wanted to share that with you guys, but I'm feeling very bullish today.
Yeah, we'll have to get some short form videos, some screenshots, and we'll be showing that dashboard on almost every live show because it is showing you daily burns every 24 hours, showing you how many tokens are burns. Sometimes it might be 20 tokens, sometimes it might be 20,000 tokens. Just depends on the day, the volume, and what we are doing with buybacks and burns from Crypto Paradise revenue as well. When alt season comes a-going, marketing, advisory, all those types of tokens that we can receive increase as well, which does provide opportunities for more exposure of Crypto Paradise and buys and burns of the Surf token. That's the name of the game. We've been doing this with Pulsechain being weak, with the marketing campaigns as far as altcoins being weak, and with no retail on the market. What kind of performance do you think happens when all of that flips around? And that's inevitable in the coming weeks.
I couldn't be more bullish. Feeling great this morning. Happy Monday, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow with another daily live stream. We got some videos dropping as well. We got some calls coming up with projects that we've been working with in the past that are about to launch, like Quants AI. We have new leads coming in for marketing, advisory, fundraising deals. So, kids are back in school. Time to get to work. Time to make some money, and we'll see you guys on the beach.
Oh, yeah, OCTO just wicked to $55. If you bought that at pre-market around 20 bucks, I would sell that, get over a double up, look to buy a dip. If it leaves you behind, who cares? You made 125% gains in the stock market in the matter of 2 hours. Sell it, $55 wick on OCTO. Hopefully, BitMiner sold some of that because then they're going to be buying millions of dollars of Ethereum.
I love this play from Tom Lee, man. He's playing 3D chess. Hope you guys are tuning into Crypto Paradise, getting these calls early. Great stuff today. We'll be back tomorrow. And until then, we'll see you on the beach.